post-pandemic environment, but close to that, as things we know are still uncertain. And then any type of leadership book too that might help you kind of learn how can you be an entrepreneur, or how can you improve any habits in your personal or personal or professional life. Right now, I'm reading a great book by James Clear called Atomic Habits, which helps you understand how can I make daily changes in my life that really help me reach my goals, whether that be a professional goal or a personal goal. So the one thing I have to admit as part of this whole journey is that I've really enjoyed getting to meet a lot of people, getting a chance to connect with them, share their music and tell their story, because I'd rather focus on telling their story and championing them than talking about what I do.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lori, so much. So excited for you to be here. You talked about how you started like freelancing with Current and other local magazines. I think that's such an important part of self-management for artists, is connecting with these entities that already have are established in your area or in other areas. What do you think, what was your strategy with connecting with those companies, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so a lot of times what I did was I would attend networking events, particularly if they were aimed at creatives. So I would attend, actually, I attended a networking event several years ago where I met the then editor of Current. I just happened to meet her by chance at a networking event for creatives, and just mentioned I was looking to kind of write for some local publications more about the local music scene. And it gave me a test piece. And I did a piece on like Ani DeFranco when she was coming to town, about all the different like fashion trends and music trends and things that she's embraced over the years. And she's always had a big following in Ann Arbor. So I did that piece, and it did really well. It had a lot of impressions. It was well received by their readership. So then after that, they started sending me a variety of different pieces to cover for local artists or like national acts that were coming to town that wanted local coverage.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And self-management and trying to build a career by ourselves can be really, really tough sometimes as artists. What do you think? Have you had any struggles in managing yourself along the way, or what have been the struggles that you've had, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so one of the biggest struggles I had was time when I first started, because I had a full-time job when I was doing the music blog and the music writing as on the side. And I found I was getting a lot of requests from people, and I could only do so many at a time with a full-time job. So then I decided about a year ago that I really wanted to actually go for this full time, and opted to leave my job to do this so that I could take on more requests, and so that I could make this more of a priority in my career. And so that's one of the big changes. That was a big risk I took, because that is a difficult decision to make, to kind of decide, okay, I'm going to leave behind my steady, secure full-time job for something that's not guaranteed. Not that any job is, but especially when you're going out on your own to try to be adventurous and do something that's your passion, and to take that risk. So I thought the risk was worth it. And I've been doing that and enjoying that, and finding ways as kind of like a freelancer or entrepreneur to make money through different income streams, to kind of support what I'm doing. And so that has kind of been my focus. And in addition to that, the other challenge I've had is, I'll say, growing pains for my music blog. Lots of requests, lots of artists, trying to find time to, get to as many people as I can. It's just a matter of finding that balance between, like, I want to put out a lot of content, but I want it to be quality content. And I want to try to focus a variety of artists and genres, so that, a lot of people get a chance to get exposure. So it's always a matter of kind of balancing the requests as they come in and scheduling those, so that you can eventually get a chance to kind of highlight everybody at one time or another over time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree that like time management is probably the hardest thing about self-management, at least for me. And one of the
Yes.
hardest things for a lot of people is, how do you manage your time? How do you manage, when you have too much work or not enough work, and deciding, oh, do I want to work that full-time job? Do I want to try and do this full-time? And it's a tough landscape to cover. But thank you so much for your insight on that. Does anyone here have any questions for Lori?
Yeah, actually I do. So I'm wondering how long did it take before you were confident like how long after you started working with these artists did it take before you were confident with I guess leaving that full-time job that you were confident with?
Oh, so to be honest, it took me quite a while. So like I left a couple jobs off and on to try it for a while. So I think I had a couple different jobs and then left and then ended up going back to work because for financial reasons or personal reasons, I had to go back and get a full-time job. But especially when the pandemic set in and my mother had passed away and I had lost several friends, not all due to COVID, but I lost I think within 2020 alone, I lost like 4 or 5 people that year. And so I saw that kind of allowed me to kind of really say, what do I really want to do with my life at this point in my career? And I need to do something because I've seen a lot of people not be able to fulfill their dreams because things were cut short or someone passed away. And I just thought it's worth the risk now. So last summer, I decided that's what I was going to take the leap. And I'm glad I did because I feel like it was the right decision for me. And yes, it's scary. Like I wake up some days and I'm like, what am I doing? I miss the security of having a full-time job because I did that for 2 decades, and to go out on my own is a scary venture, but it's probably the happiest I've been in a long time. And it's worth it if you're able to make it work. I saved up a lot of money. Now I've got freelance gigs, for people, if you want to test this out, I might advise that you get if you have a flexible part-time or full-time job where you're experimenting with this, it's not a bad idea, just so that you have some kind of income stream coming in. Or if you happen to live with a spouse or a partner who can help support you during that time, I've been fortunate in that case myself. But if you do have someone like that can help you with that, then that maybe is an option for you as well. So, but it took it took a lot of courage for me to walk away and leave a secure full-time job to do what I really want. So, and anybody who has the courage to do that, I commend you because it is not an easy decision, but I'm glad I did it.
So many amazing points there. And I love how you say you're happier than ever now that you're, really pursuing your dreams full time. But there is absolutely no problem and shame with working a job or having another business or whatever that supports your career. A lot of the thing about art or promoting art, if you're really trying to, promote yourself, whether it's writing or art or anything, is about having money. And, it's hard to have that money to promote yourself or to advertise or to do anything without making money, so
Yes.
You got to figure it out some way or another. Any other questions for Lori? All right. Well, Lori, thank you so much for speaking with us today. It was so amazing, so much great insight. You're an amazing person in the community and just so grateful to have you as a part of my network. Next up, we have Curtis, who is an incredible artist, yogi, painter, teacher, educator. He's everything. He is just such an amazing person in the community and someone I'm so grateful, to have as a part of my network as well. Curtis, thank you so much for being here.
Hold on.
There you go.
Hold on. Wait, can you do it? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got
cool.
you.
Okay. Man, I need to get my mic set back up. Yeah, thanks for having me, Max. I appreciate it, man. It's just a pleasure being here, and I apologize for showing up late, Lori, and missing a bit of what you said. But if it's what I think it is, because I hit the tail end, it's right on par with what I'm doing for self-management. It's tough. But what up? Thanks for having me. I'm gonna let you lead.
Hey, yeah. I mean, first, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what you do and, how your life and career has led you to this amazing point of where you are, because you're really a true inspiration at this point.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Art is just part of my, my lineage. It's, being African American in this country, we find ourselves sitting in art a lot as a space to, change the position of our lineage, right? And so, A lot of times when I say that, I mean like art being basketball. That's all art to me, like, because it's an art form, music, visual, dancing, all those art forms is, and I think we've used it as not just a way to change our lineage, but also a way to express, as well as keep ourselves somewhat accountable for the space that we're in. And for me, as an artist, it's been in my family just as a way to have something, part of that true freedom that I think a lot of people don't understand, that Black people in America, and I think now we're seeing across the world, don't get to feel truly that freedom. And so I say all that to say, it has made how I manage myself these last couple years in this Be Creative Studio. By the way, I'm Curtis Wallace, the owner of the Be Creative Studio. And it's a mobile, virtual, and soon to be, we're gonna have a actual physical space. We are doing some stuff out of Unite STEM in Ypsilanti Willow Run area, but we're definitely looking to get a space soon. And I spewed all that out to say, I've been doing art all my life. So what has led me here is me just remembering that part of my lineage. And my parents, my mom especially, was always into, crafts and art to keep me in it. What's kept me in it now is, being a human being and recognizing that as human beings or Homo sapiens, that our lifespan, is anywhere from 80 to 100 years, right? And I'm saying 80 to 100 years on a good life, right? But we're seeing in this pandemic, when we don't have this mental health, along with, some passion or this thing that's driving us, we're somewhere, in the natural lifespan of 40 to 80. All our food is different, cars is different, how long, all that stuff is different. And so I'm saying all that to say, I understand that I'm on the second half or beginning of the fifth dimension, right? Or the second half of this lifespan. And so a lot of friends of mine have been, passing, and really dope human beings who have expressed to me in this life that they've had this passion for a thing and never pursued it. I've been fortunate enough to be in a world where I've kept myself there. I've made myself, leave places to go art in the middle of the night, and always understanding like that's where my passion lied, and my friends have understood it, and you understand it, my community understands it. And so for me, the self-management part now is because maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I decided to let go of everything because of this right before this pandemic. A lot of people had been passing, and I let go of, that 9 to 5, false sense of security, waking up, dreading going to work, but I also got to pay bills. But it's like, it felt strange getting up, not wanting to go to a place that you once was passionate for, and then leave, and they've leveraged all your time, and then you spend it on things that you have to, not the things that you want to. And so I'm saying that I just keep thinking about time and time and time and time. And so I'm getting better at managing how I use my time, meaning a lot of people get no's and a lot of people get yeses. And how I decide is based on how I feel in that present moment. I also understand how this community really, really, really does work and thrive, man. And so how I managed things in the first year was just me doing everything with multiple hats. But I realized when you're wearing those multiple hats, there's not much time for self-care. So while you're trying to self-manage this business, because, leaping forward, I decided to, after studying art for 30 years, to actually like give it to the rest of the community, give it away, because it's not mine to keep, you know? And so I monetized it, and I'm learning still how to monetize it. I know that's one of the questions, but you know, how I monetize it is based on the years and experience that I've been doing art. And since I've been doing it and leveraged my own time, when you start managing it yourself, you lose, again, self-care. And it brings me back to, am I really managing my time proper? You mentioned something about money, and that was the thing. So I'm saying to anybody who's watching or listening, if you have a plan, that is the best spot, because when you get a plan, you start learning how much things really cost. And if you're starting to do something in the community, you start really learning that things don't cost as much as you think, because we have everything we need around us, within us. And you start meeting people that do, you know, what you love, and they love what you do, and you start doing this barter and trading thing, and then you get to the point where you can, you know, hit those goals. And I'm saying that how I manage stuff, Max, you know, 3 years ago, even when I met you heavily, is way different how I manage now. You know, I have 6 employees, and it's tough. But you know what? Like, I make, and so I was making like this much money, and now I'm making like this much money. But their self-care is dope, and I'm actually able to squeeze into more places. So I think what I was saying was, you know, it's gonna be tough, especially if you're starting a business out like right now. It's gonna be tough, but if you keep your passion at the forefront of it all you gotta remember is everything you need, every single thing, man. And I'm really learning it like heavy. Everything you need, Max, is like, it's right by you. You know, you just have to ask people. You just have to, you know, be fully invested in your passion. And I think you can't be money driven. They've had the most financially successful year already. Like, we're in April, and I have beat my, you know, goals financially of all of last year. And the year before that was twice as much. And how we're projecting it this year is like 4 times as much. And this is all during the pandemic, you know, just being able to just stay focused on my passion and learn how to understand, like, self-management is a real deal. That's the key to it, is just like, you know, once you figure that out within your passion, man, it's all just kind of clockwork. And I am finding myself saying no to a lot of people, not because I just don't want to do, I just don't want to do it, but it's more like, you know, I'm understanding what's the priority in a lot of the work I'm doing. To me, this is a priority to be here speaking with y'all, because, you know, this was my second degree. I got my second degree, the one that I'm using right now, heavily from WCC. And, you know, all the work I put in with the voice and, you know, the Ann Arbor News at the time, and just taking the 3D classes, meeting the musicians, man, meeting the artists in the community. It has really, like, led me and kept me here in this community. So what has gotten me to this space, man, I keep saying the community, and I've started a company based on how the community works together. About PS, be here now. You know, just had to put that out there. I love to be now.
Hey, thank you.
I think I more so said yes because it was like be now. I was like, yes, he did. You know, because you was talking about it, and I'm glad you finally did it. So that's dope.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. And you touched on so much amazing stuff. It's like, that's something that I've really realized too, is like, we can operate from a sense of fear and a sense of lack, and like, oh, we got to do all the work, and we got to just work, you know, sun up to sundown, and there's no time to rest and everything like that. And we think sometimes that the more that we work, the more money that we're going to make, you know, but often, you know, it's about, what do you put first? Like, if you put that self-care first, And if you, you know, make sure that you have the right mind state, then you can make much better decisions, which can then lead to making more money with less time, you know,
Yeah.
and you can beat your goals just like you're saying. You know, but it also took you, you know, so long to get to where you are but you've stayed so passionate about your craft, and that's how you got so amazing. I mean, you are one of the best painters that I've ever seen in my entire life, and probably, you know, definitely one of the best painters that I know personally. You know what I'm saying? So
Don't be trying to make me Monday cry now, Max.
but for real, man, it's that passion. It's like, and your passion always shows every single time that we talk. And you hit on so many amazing points. So thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Curtis?
Nothing? Okay.
Well, I got a question.
Okay, hit me with it.
You know, what do you think was, you know, your most important skills or the most important things when you transitioned from like that 9 to 5 to being like the business owner full time? And you know, what do you think really helped you the most going through that transition?
Having people around me that supported me. You know, I'm saying it like this. They weren't around when I decided. What I did is I sought out people, you know, like I sought out people that were you know, like-minded. A lot of people who are friends, they had to dip out. You know, I had to make sure there wasn't nobody around me who was, you know, playing devil's advocate. You know, I'm just being devil's advocate. If they say I'm just being devil's advocate, they definitely got to go. Like, if they even say that, they got to go. But I mean those people where when you put out an idea and they got like even one negative thing to say, you know, you don't even got to tell them. I even got to the point, I'm at the point now where I don't even tell people that they did this, you know, said this negative thing. I just don't mess with them no more. And then I let them figure it out or come and ask. But I just don't keep none of that around ever. You know, I really realized too, Max, right away that all the people that I thought would be helping me do this thing are not going to look like what I think they look like. They're not going to, you know, be thinking, you know, the exact things I think. You know, I recognize though right away that I need a team, people around me, and I need positive people around me. And so that was the number one, that's been the number one staple of keeping my sanity. And so my family right away already knew I'm not trying to hear none of that shit. And sorry, none of that stuff. And, you know, but then, you know, my friends too, you know, I keep it positive because I want you to match, you know, and I keep my energy here because I want you to match it. I want you to match it. And I don't want to get down in that space because it's easy, man, for us to get into negative space, you know, but I try to tell people all the time, like, man, I'm a dark Black man in America and I'm smiling. So get it together. You know what I mean? And like have some perspective. And when I lose perspective, man, I do think about, you know, there's, you know, places like Chicago, Southside Chicago. I think about, you know, third world countries. You know, I'm thinking about Ukraine. I'm like, man, you know, buck up, get people around me that keep me positive. And that is really the part, you know, and when your people around you start getting to negative space, you ask them, you know, who they hanging out with, find out, tell them, let's cut it out, come hang out with you, you know, and but they're not going to be around you, man. They're not, you know, the ones that are the ones that are, you know. And I'm not saying that to discourage you, but I'm saying like a lot of times we seek out this thing from, you know, these are very close ones. We look for this validation for some reason. And for some strange reason, it's the closest people to me who are like, that's just Curtis still. Oh, you know, dreaming again. Not like, that's Curtis still dreaming, you know? And those are the people I need around me. And, you know, so that's just a thing, you know, I've had many people come to me, and, you know, Max, you know, mad people come to me, you know, for advice because they do see I'm out here doing it, you know, bigger and better, and you know, connecting with people that you would never see. You know, I'm painting sunflowers in a farm, you know. But they come to me and they talk to me about, you know, why are my close people, my friends, you know, supporting and all these things, man. And that'd be the saddest part, to tell them, like, you know, you got to forget that. You know, does anybody else have that happening to them? You sort of plateau. Yeah, you sort of plateau. All your homies who gonna support, you know, once or twice. But it's only like, how many times can I support you doing that thing without it plateauing? And how do you really get that support, especially when you put everything on the line? What happened? How do you, you know, scale up, you know, past that plateau? And especially when you quit that 9 to 5, you know what I mean? So, but also, Lori, to kind of, you know, go back to one of the things you said, I just couldn't go in that build. I couldn't go in the building no more, y'all. Please don't get to the point where you about to throw up, before you go in that building. And that's where I got, like, I was like, I would rather just like stand here, you know, because you have to put it all on the line, man, because I think sometimes the universe tests you to see if you really, really, really want to do this thing, man, if you're really passionate about it. And if you let go, if you stop letting somebody leverage 8 hours of your time, Max, it's 8 hours of your time you get to go on your thing. And most people just fear that they won't have enough to do. Oh my God. That is so wrong. Lori shaking her head like, that is so wrong. Because I'll have 3 things to knock off the list, and I'll have 6 things at the end of the day. And it's totally 6 new things. Like,
yeah.
Period.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you touched on so much amazing stuff, and really, like, something that's really stuck out to me about you is your positivity. And you know, and I've had the similar experience where the people that have been around you for a long time, your friends, your family, stuff like that, they see you as just that person that they've known for so long, you know, and it's sometimes hard for them to like accept and see your vision. And that's why you'll get more support from people that don't even know you half the time than the people that are the closest to you, because they just see you as Curtis or Max or Lori, you know what I'm saying? And then the people that really see you out here grinding, but they don't have that preconceived notion of like knowing you from before, they be like, man, you're killing it, you know? Right. And another thing that I really liked that you said is just your positivity and also being present. Obviously, we're both on that page, you know, and it's one thing that I'm a strong believer in is you can't always like control how you feel, you know, but you can control your attitude, and you can control how you treat people, and you can control, you know, your outlook, your perspective, you know, and when you notice your perspective drifting into those negative spaces, you can pull it back into positivity.
Right.
And, you know, that's been a huge thing for me too, because I struggle with that all the time. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Curtis, so much. That was amazing.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
I have kids classes. They don't show cartoons no more on Saturdays. But they open up stuff. I do kids classes, painting classes, and watercolor classes, soon to be tie-dyeing classes. Go check us out in the Be Creative Studio. I know that's all up there, y'all, but I can't see everybody. And I'm on the verge of tears always. I don't even know why, dude. You do that to me. You know what I'm saying? I might have to say no next time.
You just vibe out, bro.
We have to do it.
It's just what happens. Class. It's like when you're present and when you're positive and when you connect with people like this, it's like that's when the emotions come up. That's when you know it's real. It's like when I make a song or something like that and I just feel that energy, like, oh my God, I'm doing the right thing. You know, it's just it knows, it means you're on the right path. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that, Curtis.
Thank you, guys.
Check Curtis's stuff out. And also anyone that has just recently joined us, this is being put on by the new arts management program at WCC. So if you want to learn how to manage yourself as an artist, if you want to learn how to build a career or even just get jobs in your field or in an artistic field, you know, there's this new program of arts management at WCC, and there's a link to check it out in the chat. It's at the top of the chat. So check that out. I'll try and I don't know if I can pin it. I don't think I can pin it, but thank you so much, Lori, Curtis. Next up, we have Kyla. She is an amazing photographer, painter, podcaster, so many different things. Kyla, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyla. I am a photographer, but I also do some painting, videography, and I'm a huge art fan. So I'm always trying new mediums and, starting projects before I even finish the last one. And I'm going to share my screen. Since I'm a photographer, I'm a very visual person. I thought it would be appropriate to show a little bit of my work, and I just need like a visual guide, or else I'll get off track. So let me know if you can see my screen. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes.
And let me begin my little presentation. Cool. And I'll get it loaded up here. Okay, so this is a couple photos I've done from shoots in past years. Just a little preview of my work, and the highlighted info is my contact info. If you want to check out any of my other work or stay in contact, I would love to be connected with more artists because networking is huge, as I will touch on in a moment. But I started pursuing photography when I was actually only 16 years old. I took a class in high school and fell so in love with it. My parents were so awesome and got me a camera. They are very supportive of me, and they kind of pushed me to pursue it. So I kept going, and I just fell so in love with the medium. I love being able to like capture a moment in time, and you're the only person that can capture that exact moment in that exact time frame. And so I love the uniqueness that you can bring to that medium. And I just started assisting other photographers. I found someone I knew who worked at a local photography studio in my hometown, like nothing crazy. And I started assisting that photographer, working with him. And I applied to the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. I got accepted. And so I went there for photography. I learned a whole bunch of amazing stuff. And I did take some classes in photography at Washtenaw Community College, which those classes were so much fun and so awesome. I really, really loved their program. So I continued to assist other photographers, some bigger ones even, as I continued in my career at CCS, and I started doing some freelance work, taking on shoots of my own. And I graduated from College for Creative Studies in 2020 with a bachelor's in photography. And from there, the job landscape at the time, 2020, was like not the best. So I just went into business as a freelancer. I sought out gigs and just was trying to fill up my schedule as much as I could with photo shoots. And I then started pursuing more video work and kind of diving deeper into my painting career, which I've been painting since I was a kid, but I really started like thinking of how could I make this income? How could I, make money doing this? So there's a piece behind me that I created, and then this is another piece that I created that I'm wearing. I started printing on shirts, and I'm hoping to start printing some of my photography on shirts soon. So that's a little income stream that I created. And then a couple things I want to touch on today is pricing, networking, and communication. Those are like the key things you need to know if you're a self-managed artist. So here I have lovely Pauline, who's on the call, as one of my models I've worked with on the screen. And I'm going to talk briefly about pricing, how I price my work. I take into consideration when I'm pricing someone, if they say, hey, could you do this shoot for me? What's the, what would it cost? I take into consideration, like, what makes this worth my time? I take into consideration the pre-planning of the shoot, like location scouting, going there ahead of time, figuring out where am I going to park? What's the lighting situation here? Things like that nature, just planning the shoot. I take into consideration like the post-production, the editing, the retouching, the selecting of what photos am I delivering to this client. That's a lot of time. and you know, my gear, my equipment, the things that I'm bringing to the shoot. Am I just bringing a camera? Am I bringing my camera, my lights, an assistant? You know, that will factor into my price, and the time spent creating the shoot, the product that I'm going to be delivering. So I take all those things into consideration, and I think like what number would be appropriate for this type of shoot. So that's kind of how I price my work. And then networking. When I'm thinking about networking, I usually ask myself, like, do I believe in this situation or, you know, job that a client is presenting to me? You're going to get, as an artist, people are going to say, oh, I don't have a budget to pay you, but it's great exposure. Maybe it is, but a lot of times it isn't. And a lot of people undervalue themselves and think, oh yeah, maybe, you know, I will get a few more eyes on me. And there's definitely situations that the exposure is worth it. I've taken free shoots on that have led to paid work, that have led to me meeting people that hired me. But you need to know when to decline and when to accept that free work or working for exposure. A time that you could accept some free work is, like, for me, if I've never done a shoot before, like my first time getting into maternity photography, that's a very specific kind of shoot. I did a giveaway on my social media, and that got a bunch of new eyes on me, and I was able to give away a maternity session to a new client who I'm still in touch with, and I have a great relationship with her. She's like someone I consider a friend now. So I was able to do the shoot for free, but then I had a piece for my portfolio where I could now charge for this and start making it some income. And, you know, like a situation that just kind of presented itself recently to me was that, you know, I had a musician approach me for doing some free photography for them. And I didn't feel like it was worth it for my time because I've been hired to photograph promotional work for musicians before. I'm very good at it. I've done it a lot, and I think I should be paid for that work, you know, so I had to decline that opportunity. But you know, it's about knowing your worth and knowing when to say no, because there is an appropriate time, and there's an appropriate time to accept it as well. The photo you see on your screen is from a shoot I did with a brand called Seeking Justice, and I donated this shoot totally free. I do a free shoot for them every single year for their merchandise because I believe in them. They are a company that works to get wrongfully convicted and charged people out of the prison system. And it's such a beautiful organization that I would do anything they wanted at this point, and they are just amazing with the work they do. So I'll always support them, and I'll donate free, you know, shoots and whatever I can to them because I believe in them. So that's an opportunity that I would accept. And then the last point I'm going to touch on briefly is communication. Communication as an artist, when you are representing your brand, is huge. You have to be a master at it, and you have to stick to your word. You have to be a person of your word. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. If you say that, you know, you're going to deliver X, Y, and Z, you have to deliver that. And that's what is going to set you apart from other people in the field. You'll see that quickly, is that other people could have the best work in the world, but if they're not communicating with their clients and they're not telling them, you know, if they say, hey, I'm going to give you 100 photos and you only shoot 50, you're in a bad spot. They've paid you. So it's super important to communicate very well. I always start my shoots talking to my client saying, what is your vision for this shoot? I want to set clear expectations with my client. I want to know what they are thinking in their head is going to be the end result. And if they don't know, then we work together on figuring out what their vision is. And I ask them, like, you know, how do you see the shoot unfolding? Do you have any reference points of other shoots that you've seen, you know, that I could look at, and we could get a feel for like what your vibe is going into the shoot. So another thing that I always like to do is I opt for email communication as much as possible. When you are, you know, working with a client or something, it's so great to have email because you can't delete messages in emails. Like on Instagram, you can, you know, delete or something. And in an email, there's a long paper trail of all the info you need. And like, if I need to know, oh, wait, where did I shoot this one, what locations did I use for this shoot? I can look it up in my email really quick. I have a nice log of all the shoots that I've ever done in my email and the details of the shoot. So that's also great. You can also, of course, talk on, it's great to have voice or video conversations with clients, but I highly recommend using email when you're narrowing down any details. And, it's always important, I think, to maybe under promise and over deliver. Like I will always tell my clients, if, for example, I'll say, you'll get about 100 images and then you can choose 20. I usually shoot way more than that. And then I'll have like about 170 that I said, oh, there were so many great images. I couldn't help but, give you 170 rather than 100 to choose from. And they are so much more pleased with that because they were expecting that they got to choose out of 100 images. Now they're choosing from almost twice as many. And so it's nice to do that, but you also don't want to say, certainly you're going to get, be very sure of what you're promising and what you're able to deliver. Like 100 photos is not that bad for me. I can easily do that with shoots. So just making sure that you are able to deliver what you promise is huge. And as a self-managing artist. So that's all I have to touch on right now. And thank you so much for letting me have this space to talk about my favorite thing in the world.
No, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, Kyla. You had so many great points. I really liked how you talked about asking questions with your clients and setting the proper expectations. I think that is super important, not only to make sure that you're doing the best that you can for that client, but also even in the sales process, just being like, we're all artists. And when we're working with clients, we're all salespeople, and so asking questions about what your client wants is the best way to figure out what they want. And so you can give it to them, and also setting the proper expectations is so important. And I loved how you said, under promise, over deliver. That is a very, very important thing because people will remember if you don't live up to their expectations or if you don't do what you said that you said you were going to do. And, your word and your reputation when you are a freelance artist is everything. I mean, if you mess up with one person and then they say, talk to 10 people or 5 people and say, hey, don't mess with this person, and that spreads through the community. I mean, our communities are small, and so you need to make sure to be doing what you say you're going to do. So I love that so much. Does anybody have any questions for Kyla? Curtis.
It's more of a comment.
Yeah.
First of all, I really do love your work, and that's dope that you put it on your gear. We gotta definitely talk about that.
Hey.
I wanted to hit on something that you said that changed my whole business. It's when you stop calling it freelance. Because people only hear free and the lance of that. I'm saying, do you understand? Like they want to dip their lance and grab that for free. And so my just suggestion, and I'm not, and I don't know if you still even call it that, but I get it. But I'm telling you one thing that changes the game, and that, businessmen and women all over the world that I've met have told me is to take it out, because that's what people hear, what they want to hear. So take the whole free out. It starts small business, but not freelance. Because freelance almost for real, like for real, like it's gonna up the whole thing because it helps with the bravado piece. So you go in there with that confidence that Lori was talking about, so that you can feel comfortable with asking those questions that you're talking about. And that freelance, because they're already in their head like free. Get to the point so I can get this free stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, tell everybody that everything she said is absolutely on point. And I didn't really talk about how to monetize because art is so heavy, but yeah.
No, I like that. And honestly, that's part of the reason why we, started Be Now Media too, is because like when you're when you say, hey, I'm a freelance artist, I'm just doing this, you know, myself or whatever, it comes across, you know, like not as impressive kind of as like having a business, like how Curtis has the Be Creative Studio and the Beware and all that stuff. It's like when you can put a business brand together and say, this is my business. And no, I'm not just a freelance artist that's just doing this, you know, for myself every once in a while. It's like, no, this is my business. And, you know, I'm going to charge agency prices, you know, instead of like, because a lot of the time when you have that brand and you have that agency feel, you can charge more, you know, and you can work with bigger organizations and stuff like that, and they'll trust you more just because of that branding and stuff. So
Right. And
that's a great point.
Yeah, and they take you seriously, and they take you serious. And I've seen your work, so like, and I'm telling you, just from artist to an artist, you should not be. You should be you well past freelance. Like this shouldn't even be free. Like, you know, like for real, is really great work, and I know how much CCS costs too. By the way, so like, people got to understand that because when you say freelance, they don't get all that with it. When you say small business, they have the assumption that you have invested something into it. All the other stuff is just on top of it. You know, like having the shirt, having the website, having that stuff that that you already have. But I'm gonna just say, take that freelance piece out, and it really helps you monetize it on a different level too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions for Kyla? Go for it, if you do.
I just would like to comment. I just really liked what Kyla was saying about like taking clients that she believes in and networking with people that she truly believes in. Because then, like, I think what even Curtis is mentioning is that like the people you surround yourself is really important. So even in your work sphere, like if you keep surrounding yourself and like you know, marketing yourself around people that you actually believe in, then it's just gonna keep compounding and to where you can really hone your craft and be the artist you want to be.
Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey. And Jeffrey is an amazing dancer. He's part of my class, so thanks for being here, Jeffrey. You're the man. And
I have a question. When are you currently accepting clients?
who are you talking to, Kyla?
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
because I'm about to actually paint a class at WCC, and I feel like it's a full circle type of thing that we can do. If you want to, you know, I don't know if you've ever painted a paint or shot a painting class, but you know, I'm sitting here, got the wheels turning and got the community with me.
We have to connect and definitely plan something because I am like a huge fan of your work too. So we'll definitely have to collaborate.
Oh, I gotta go now. It's official.
Hey, that's awesome. Thank you, Curtis. So cool. And thank you, Kyla. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everyone. Next up, we have Alex Jones, founder of Karoshi United, such an amazing clothing brand. Alex, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for being late. I'm commuting to work, and it's a little weird in Los Angeles, so.
It's all good. Oh, you're in LA right now, huh? How's that?
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's beautiful. You know, the weather's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what has led you to the point of being in LA and doing what you do out there in the hub of the entertainment industry? You know, I mean, I know you started out here, and now are you living in LA right now?
Yeah, I've been here for 7 months.
That's awesome. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that journey.
Well, how did we start out? I mean, I've been doing fashion design since I was a kid, since I was about 9 or 8 or so. And I just kept doing it. My mom just really encouraged me to, you know, have an outlet and be creative. And so I just kept just trying it. And I went to college for it for a few years, but college didn't really work out for me like that at the time. And I ended up really just teaching myself about like textile design and like how to get things manufactured. And, you know, I mean, I can sew and things like that, but there was a lot that I needed to know as far as like starting a business and being able to make things like mass producing things. And I just mostly taught myself that just by researching and using YouTube and the internet. And just like through networking, I met a few people that were able to get my clothes on like a few celebrities. And that's pretty much how my career kind of took off with that.
Yeah.
I hope that was a good answer. Sorry.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, that's so awesome. You know, and it's cool how you went to school, and school's like not for everyone, you know, and there's in this arts sphere, you know, there is a lot of stuff that you can teach yourself. And that's amazing that, you know, you taught yourself about the textiles and taught yourself about, you know, the business stuff and everything like that. And definitely like what you're doing is so different than I've ever seen before with clothing design and stuff. I feel like it can be, you know, self-teaching can be an advantage sometimes too, because you don't have that, you know, structure as much of like, this is what you have to do, this is how you have to do it. And you can kind of maybe think outside the box a little bit more. Yeah, that was an awesome answer. What, as far as like self-management, like how has self-management affected your career, and what do you think the most important parts of self-management have been for you?
There's been a lot of, I mean, there's good things and bad things. A lot of learning. I guess what like mostly comes to my mind is like accountability and like learning how to have accountability to like not only to yourself, but like to the people that you're working with, you know, to your clients, and like self-care, honestly, just like learning how to like take your time with things, pace yourself with things. And that's, I don't know, that's basically it, what comes to my mind. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. And I love how also you touch on, you know, that you've been able to work with these big celebrities and influencers, and that has helped lead you down your career path. And we just did a Michigan Fashion Media Summit at U of M. We did the live stream for that, and they were talking a lot about the same thing. Even these huge brands at the top, you know, Steve Madden, Nike, all these different brands, like just working with influencers is what they rely on too. I mean, it's from the bottom to the top, you know, that's how you can get the word out there a lot of the time. So that's really cool to see that it's worked out with you. How do you know how much to charge for your work, since you are doing like different things, you know, and I'm sure different pieces are much more time consuming and much more effort, and other stuff is a little bit easier. So how do you decide like how much your stuff is worth?
I give myself a base rate of pay depending on what it is. And then I take into account the cost for labor and the cost for materials, and then I also think about, well, what do I think this piece should be worth? And I kind of like weigh the two things, and then I kind of just settle on, you know, I don't know, I take into account a lot of things, like what do I think people will pay for it? What do I want to pay for it? Also, I think about labor and materials, and what would make me feel good, you know, like what price would I charge and I wouldn't feel like I got, you know, like what would make me feel good to charge people for, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that, because it's like I've done work, the same work that I'm doing now, you know, for clients and stuff like that. I do marketing consultation, but you know, I've done work for a price where I didn't feel good about it, and you know, that's when I'm waking up in the morning and just like being like, oh, I got to do all this work, and it feels like work. But when you're doing the work for the price that you feel good about, and you feel like you're being compensated for what it's worth and what your time that you're putting in, and you feel like you have enough time in your life to do self-care and stuff like that because you're charging enough. It's a whole different atmosphere. You can really like actually love what you do when you feel good about how much you're charging. It just can be hard in the beginning, you know, to figure that out. But I think that was some amazing insight. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Alex?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, do you have your own brand or do you just work for a company?
I have my own brand.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering, what was the brand name? Because I'm really curious to see your work.
It's called Karoshi United. It's KAROSHI_United.
Yeah, I'll drop it
And
in
then,
the chat.
okay, thank you. And then I was also wondering, did you like originally start out with your brand like in mind, or did you just start like by making customs for people? Like, how did you start your own brand?
No, actually I've had like so many different brands and this or that. Like I've had so many different, this just kind of came, I thought it was going to be like a one-off project that I was doing like a few years ago, and it just kind of took off from there, honestly. But it was like I had a project that I was doing just before this one that was very, very similar. And then I read this book. I read this like really like crazy, like visual, like graphic. I don't even know how to describe it, but I read this book and I got really inspired by the name Karoshi. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna rebrand. I'm gonna do it a little bit more polished than what I did before. And that one, you know, took off. So I just kept trying. But I've had 1,000,001 brands, 1,000,001 this or that, and, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear, because, and thank you so much for the question. But you know, it's like we always want that first thing that we do to pop off or be successful or whatever, but that's not always the case. And as artists, we got to try and try and try again, you know, and we never know what the thing is that's really gonna pop off. But you know, same here. I've had so many different brands over the years, and nothing has really stuck until I created like the Be Now Media brand, you know. So don't get discouraged if a brand that you're creating isn't really sticking or anything like that. You know, just keep trying. I love that. Thank you so much. Any other questions? All right. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Alex, for talking to us. Her brand is in the chat, so you can go check it out. She really is amazing, amazing, amazing. Work with some huge people, and her clothes are so cool. So buy some pieces and rock it. You certainly will get some street cred for it, because she is dope and everyone loves her. So, and for anyone that doesn't know, this is being put on by the Arts Management Program at WCC. So go in the chat, go to the top. There's a link. You can check out a little bit more about the Arts Management Program, learn how to manage yourself as an artist, or just manage your career, and, you know, get a job in the arts careers. Yeah, and Kyla just dropped the link to Karoshi United's shop or store in the chat. So check that out, buy some pieces. She's incredible. Thank you so much, Alex. And next up, we have Pauline, an amazing sculptor, content creator, and model, has been featured in Vogue magazine and has, you know, so much amazing photos on your Instagram, and just so much cool stuff that you're doing. Pauline, thank you so much for being.
Thanks for having me and hyping me up.
Hey, you hyped me up with everything that you've done, so it's all you.
I do. I love to cheer on everyone else as well. In fact, I was like listening to everyone. I just kept going. I'm like, yeah, what they said. I'm like, yep, that's it. I'm like, I really like could bounce off everyone else if I wanted to. We could probably all chat for hours on end. I could see that happening. But yeah, like you said, my name's Pauline. I got my BFA and MA from EMU, where I focused in ceramics. I fell in love with ceramics just like Kyla in high school. In fact, the art teacher used to lock
Oh, is
me
the
in
bus coming?
Oh, she used to lock me in the
I
art
don't
room
know.
during lunch hour, and I would stay and like eat and do ceramics simultaneously. But all through my childhood, I started at 18 months old figure skating, and I've continued to be a competitive figure skater, and that takes up a lot of time. So I started to realize if I wanted to kind of pursue my education, which I did, that I needed to work ahead and get into college sooner, because college scheduling, you could take evening classes. Whoa, instead of being in the middle of the day, which is like one of the prime times, like I was skating at like 5 in the morning before school, and then I'd leave school and I'd skate till like 11 p.m. at night. That's not a very healthy, we're talking about self-care. That's the opposite of self-care if I ever did see it. So I started college at 16 actually, and I really just kind of threw myself into it, went for it. But I've always leaned towards creative occupations. So like I grew up sewing, I played piano, I have done in skating, I'm actually kind of more known as a choreographer than anything else. Like other coaches will seek me out to do choreography for their students because it's a very specialized skill. And I edit music. I like all the skating music. Like you know, you can't skate to a 5-minute song, and sometimes you want to make a medley of your favorite songs. So I've always had a ear for that. And yeah, I've also grown up sewing. That's something you were talking about, you know, family. My mom taught me how to sew, but my great grandmother, who I'm named after, used to actually hand crochet Maltese lace. It's like the smallest, most delicate lace I've ever seen. I don't know how she did it without going cross-eyed, but that creative stuff has always kind of been how I live day to day. And I like utilizing it in formats that help others, you know, fulfilling myself and helping others. Just that's like the magic combo for me that makes me really want to keep doing things. But yeah, now that I graduated in 2020, like Kyla, right at the beginning, I actually didn't get to finish my last semester. So I like was at home, which if you're in ceramics, it's like the one thing you can't do at home. So I have not had access to a ceramic studio since then, basically. So I miss making my weird sculptures like that. But thankfully, I have never put all my eggs in one creative basket. You know, we kind of talk about how we've all branched out into other things and other outlets creatively. So I went into doing more graphic design work because I was able to do some of that through contracts with other people. There's one artist I know who was selling work in the gift shop at the DIA, but she needed boxes made for, and like the design on the boxes to be made graphic design wise. And she's like, I can't do that. So my sister and I were actually her little graphic design team who worked on making her custom made boxes so she could sell her work, and, you know, making jewelry, doing whatever feels right in the moment. And I am running 2 YouTube channels, one that's more arts and crafts related and more about just life, and the other one is fitness orientated because I'm a fitness instructor. I found fitness to be a very creative outlet for me personally, because like I focus a lot on the playlists. Like I like music to really push people, teach you, you know, how to breathe a little deeper, focus on that mindfulness, and then it helps others. And that's something I've always enjoyed. But I, you know, with self-management, because that's a lot of things that I'd be doing, self-management, that's what keeps all the gears turning. And I found that self-management for me is finding what things like trigger me in a positive way and using those as tools to create my own system to work within. Because for me, I have to wake up early. I have to wake up early and immediately move my body in some capacity, and finding inspiration through nature, music, just like sounds and textures, physically, visually textures, journaling, reading, researching things. Like this whole series is based on asexuality, and you know, I went down the rabbit hole of just where that shows up in nature, and an entire series of work has come out of that, but I tend to organize myself with charts. I have multiple charts for all the different things that I do to organize myself and my ideas and schedule out what I need to do and when I need to get it done to have the work prepared for a show or for a client, or, you know, if I'll be going to an art fair and selling it. So making sure I kind of just keep up with it all is part of it. And it's definitely like allowed me to create my own opportunities. You know, sometimes you don't have to do something in hopes of monetizing it. If you first do it out of personal fulfillment or helping others without hopes of reciprocation, because capitalism can be quite heavy to work through with as an artist. I think people gravitate towards that authenticity and that community, and that's what can really help you take off if they feel why and how you're doing it. I think that's what will create a lot of opportunities for you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you touched on so many important things, like helping people. I love how, you know, the base of trying to help people, and you're exactly right. Like if you make what you do to help people, people will recognize that, and they will want to support you. And also, you know, it's just, one of my business coaches over the years said, you know, if you focus your business on helping people, the money will follow. You know, it's if you focus on making money, a lot of the time it can be very stressful, and you know, you can feel like you're operating from a place of lack, like I need more. And but I love that you talked about helping people. That's, you know, that's my main core value, you know, is helping people. And that has really led me down my passion of taking my passions of art and music and putting them together with helping people, and seeing how those two things can, you know, work together. Because art is one of the best ways to help people. You know, you can connect with people on such a deep level with art, and on such an emotional level with art, and, you know, be very relatable to other people that may be struggling with similar things as yourself. So I think that that's so amazing. Also, I love how you talked about having a system, you know, and you know, the organization. That's so important, especially, I mean, we touched on earlier, time management being one of the hardest parts of self-management. And I think time management is pretty much impossible without having systems and organization. And that's certainly not something that came naturally to me. You know, when I was growing up, throughout my whole life, I've been, you know, organization and having systems has been something that was completely foreign to me, and something I didn't really focus on that much when I was growing up, because I was like, whatever, I don't need to focus on that. I'll figure it out when I need to figure it out. But then when I came to running my own business, you know, I had to focus on those things, or else it wasn't going to, you know, or else I was going to let things go or whatever. So it's so important that we focus on those things. And I also love how you talked about waking up early, you know, doing some movement in the morning, doing some journaling, things like that. I mean, those are things that I have done in my self-management routine that have been just so instrumental to helping me feel good. You know, my days go way better when I tap into being present and movement and feeling good in the morning and being calm, as opposed to just getting up and, you know, getting right into all of the tough things that I have.
Frantic.
Yeah, the frantic. Oh, I got to do 20 things by the end of the day. Let me just rush into it. You know, so thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Pauline?
Pauline, would you say, I love how, like, you talked about all of the span of creative things that you did, like that, and that you are doing, like, over the years. Would you just say that, like, you just kind of went with, like, the impulse of, like, what you wanted to do and what you think is, like, the next step to, like to fulfill, like, whatever artistic craving in the moment, and then it just kind of, like, snowballed?
Yeah, that's a good word for it, snowball. Yeah, things will roll one thing into another, because as I found when I focused on ceramics, I would often, like, end up doing multimedia type things. So when I display work, I would get interested, be like, oh, you know, this would be cool if it had a painted background that it feeds into. So then you're heading more towards painting, you know, or I've done even some performance art work, which then I actually made clothing for it, which, because I grew up sewing, I was able to do that. But, you know, kind of whatever the idea needs. I think like you don't have to pigeonhole yourself as an artist into one thing. If you like, even if it's just one project that you happen to do this other thing, go for it. And also, if you do get interested in other mediums, I think, because I know it can be expensive, you don't have to buy the whole kit. You know, talk to your friends or professors who also do those other things, and go, hey, could I borrow kind of just some starter stuff? This is what I'm trying to do. Can I borrow that? And then you can try it, and you might do one project and be like, I'm glad I did that project, but you know, this medium, you know, isn't fully for me, and I'm not going to continue down that path. Because, you know, we kind of have, everything's very cost prohibitive, and that's like kind of leads into how you charge for things. You kind of are balancing the cost of supplies, and you're like, you have to make up your own hourly wage. You know, it kind of all feeds into that. So yeah, it's more of what feels right for whatever idea comes into your head.
Dope. That's, yeah, it's like visualize and then just like do it. It's so cool. It's like that is creating. So okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
No problem. I had done a lot of like 2D art and digital art over COVID quarantine, and I kind of forgot that I had the ability to like visualize something that's 3-dimensional in my head and just be able to make it. And I recently kind of did that with just a silly little, like, more of a arts and crafts, like for fun. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that I can like do that 3D thing.
Very cool.
Dope. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Pauline? Cool. Thank you so much, Pauline. That was amazing. Touch on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually gonna have to leave now. I have to head to the rink. I have to skedaddle over the ice cold rink. But I want to say, everyone, you're awesome to talk to or to listen to, and lots of good points were made. And thank you to everyone who came and listened. And I hope you get a lot out of this. Even one idea, one note jotted down can really start, you know, a whole snowball effect for you. And I hope that happens for whatever art form you do. And I hope to see you guys like on social media and in person one day. That'd be awesome. Bye, everybody.
See ya. And I'm gonna drop Pauline's Instagram right here in the chat, so that you can follow her. Let me just look it up to make sure that I have the right one. But thank you so much, Pauline. That was amazing. And I love how they talked about, you know, just doing what you're inspired in the moment and moving to different things. Like I started with music, and then that led me into, you know, graphic design and photography, and that led me into videography, and then, you know, I wanted people to hear my music, so that led me into marketing, you know. So it's, you know, it's one thing is going to lead to another, and always be open to trying new things. I love that. Next we have Nehemia. He is here. He's a graphic designer. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Max. And yeah, I'm feeling really inspired by everyone's talk. So yeah, I'd like to share something about myself. So I'm Nehemiah Harmson, and my company is Nehemiah 9 Design, with my partner and my wife, who's a web developer. So I'm a web designer and graphic designer. We live in Ann Arbor, and we've had our company for 7 years. Yeah, so let me share my screen, and then yeah, can everyone see that?
Yes, we can. Sorry for getting your name wrong, Nehemiah.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's just over email. So yeah, so I looked at like an older presentation, and I you know, this one's a little bit shorter, but I also thought, you know, it's kind of good to distill it down. So I narrowed it down to 5 things I thought that, you know, things that I've learned, things that like I know that if I don't do, there's negative consequences. And I think, you know, it applies pretty much to any creative professional. I think these are more universal things. So yeah, number one thing that's really helped me is to sort of become a lifelong learner. I think it's really easy to just kind of do, yeah, like other people were saying, kind of do one thing, and then yeah, it can get kind of, it can become a grind. It can become like, just work, not something that you're feeling passionate about, you're not feeling inspired. So, and I think we live in this information age. There's pretty much all the information that we need is out there. There's a million courses. With social media, we can talk to people online as well as in person, just like we were able to before. So, I felt at different times in my life, I felt very behind. So yeah, I don't have a traditional path as well. I studied graphic design, right out of high school, and then I didn't finish. I finished just like the 2-year degree, and then I was trying to figure out what to do next, and then I ended up moving to China. So I lived in a foreign country for 12 years, and because it was like such a different place, I ended up becoming a teacher. So I kind of went down a different career path than I would have expected. I was teaching art, and I did teach a little bit of design, but generally it was like really a different thing. So when we moved back to the US, that was a turning point for me. Like, this is what I should be doing. Not that what I was doing was wrong, but like right now for where I'm at, this is what I need to be doing. But I felt like very behind. I felt kind of like, maybe like a recent graduate, even though I was, I was a lot older. So yeah, so I just kind of dove into it, like talking to people. I started a meetup. I would go to meetups. I would be watching videos, reading books, podcasts, like pretty much like everything I could do. And I just forced myself to learn. And I've always, since like 2017, I've taken at least one class at WCC. And that's really helped because everything I've learned, I've been able to immediately apply to my business. So I'm able to learn a new skill. And then, there's always been like maybe one client who's able, open to the idea, and I'll be able to do that new thing. So, just like a year or two, of following like an interest or a passion, I studied animation and user experience, and then I'm able to apply those things right away. Yeah, so that kind of goes into the next point of like, finding a mentor. In the past, information was very limited. You had the library, you had universities, you had individuals, but there wasn't like YouTube or all of these like websites full of all this information like Udemy and Skillshare. So yeah, I think now, you can follow people on Twitter, you can ask them questions. There's like Reddit Q&As, there's blogs, there's tutorials. Like, we can really have mentors. Of course, the real thing in person is great, but we don't really need to necessarily formalize that. We can have friendships and contacts and networks, and we can really just like whatever information we need, we can get. There's no excuse really. Here's some of my current podcast recommendations. The first two are more graphic design related. And then the rest are music, except for the creative pep talk is like more about illustration. But I think they all of these, what they do have in common is the business of managing creative business. So I think even if you're not a designer, or even if you're not a musician, depending on what it is, like I've found like some really amazing things in here.
Yeah, and shout out, just for a second, shout out Steph Belcher with When Songs Mean Business podcast. She's amazing. She's local. And if you're a musician and you're interested in learning about the business of your songs or taxes, she's a tax expert. Check her stuff out for sure.
Oh yeah. And then, yeah, that's a great podcast. Yeah, so the next thing I learned was math. Like, as an artist, as a creative person, I wasn't, I wouldn't say I was someone who was really into math, accounting, spreadsheets, and that kind of thing. But what I realize is if I'm unaware of how that math works, like how long am I spending on a project, that means I'm making less and less money. If you quote something as, let's say you quote it for $500 and you do it in 5 hours, that's $100 an hour. If it takes you 50 hours, then you're getting into an area where it's like, okay, this is not sustainable, or beyond that level. So yeah, like if you really want to know like how to grow your business, it's about knowing the math. And sometimes it can get very tedious, but I've kind of learned to really enjoy it, finding out, how long did I really spend on that project, and then it just makes you better at estimating time. Yeah, budgeting as well. Like if you're not making enough money, and you're not doing these things, then this is where I would start, is like get a budget software like You Need a Budget, or make sure you have your accounting, or just get a spreadsheet and start adding up these numbers. The example up here is like when I first started my business, I wasn't really sure what I was doing, and I had this idea like, okay, I'm going to make clocks. So you can see like the teal one is the original clock. So I wasn't like making them from scratch, but I was painting them and I was making the clock face. So I started just making what I wanted to make. And then a friend of my family's reached out to me on Facebook and said, hey, can you make me a custom clock? And then, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then it was kind of funny because I was like, well, what do I charge? It's a clock. You can buy a clock for like not that much. So it ended up being like, I charged her like $75. And then and I didn't do the math beforehand, I did the math after, and I was like, okay, I made $20 for like several days of work. I don't know, like, I could look back, but it's probably like 10 hours of work. So I was like, I don't know if this is very sustainable. And then the first one, this is the second one I sold. The first one I sold, I ended up losing money on it. I lost like 60 cents. So then that was like a lesson, like maybe do the math before you try to make it into a business. But it's good. I think you don't need to monetize everything you're interested in. That point was brought up. Like sometimes you can just kind of do something for fun, and then, if it makes sense, then you can do it. If not, you don't have to make money on everything you do. The next one was invest in yourself. You have to spend money to make money. I think that idiom is there for a reason. I've recently had business coaching, and I realized I should have done that a long time ago, but this stuff can be pretty pricey. But yeah, any of the things you do, look at it, like look at the math and see, is this going to help me? And it might not help you like that month or that year, but maybe in 2 or 3 years. Look at what is going to really make you happy, and what's going to bring you success in the long run. So don't be afraid if you need to hire an accountant, or you need new software, like spend that money. It's probably going to bring a return for you. And then do personal projects. Yeah, so I found like, a year after starting a new thing, like I'm able to monetize it. So like if you really want to learn animation, or music production, engineering, mastering, whatever it is, like if you really want to do it, just do it for fun for a while, follow people online, get tips, do tutorials, do projects for friends for free, whatever it is. And then, at some point, if you're passionate about it, you'll get good at it and you can make it into your business. Self-care was brought up a few times. I think this is like really, really important. If you make this out of balance lifestyle your thing, you'll burn out. So I know a lot of people, especially when they're just starting out, they may be in their early 20s and they think, I'm just going to burn the candle at both ends, and I'm not going to care about getting sleep or having a social life or whatever it is. Like, I think that's okay as long as it's a short-term thing. If you can see, like, I'm going to do this for this short period of time in order to reach that goal, like you have a deadline, you have to do it. But my wife, after a couple of years, she was like, you have to take weekends off, because the truth is you have to take breaks. You cannot like work just endlessly. If you plan your schedule and you have a good work-life balance, you can be healthy and you can take those breaks when you need them. If you don't do that, you're just going to take breaks anyways, but it's going to be more like you're just exhausted or you're burned out and you have to take a break. So it can be at not when you're expecting it. So it can cause a lot of problems. And then the last one is plant seeds before you need to see results. My attitude with networking and things like that was like, I'm just going to go out there and try to make friends. I'm going to connect with people. I'm not going to see everyone as like, this is an opportunity. I want them to hire me, or I need something from them. It was more like, I just want to go out there and meet people and have good connections. So by doing that, I think you're building a relationship. It takes time to build trust. And that trust is built up by, having value, having good values, and thinking about what you are trying to achieve. And then keeping your word, basically, you know, keeping everything in line with yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so when you're networking, it's going to take a while to meet somebody and then build that trust and then work with them. So make sure that you're not just like ignoring this part of your work because you have work, because when that work finishes, then the next thing isn't like ready to go. So it definitely it's difficult to, you know, manage your time when you're very busy with client work, and then you also have to do networking and keep building those relationships, because when it dries up, then you have nothing. So you want to make sure that doesn't dry up, that there's always something coming down the pipeline. So yeah, I think that's getting close to time. So if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was amazing. You touched on so many great things. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. So like I was looking at your Instagram and I saw that you do like a type of day thing. So can
Yeah.
you go into some of like your side projects and like what inspires you to do them and why you do them?
Yeah. The side projects, you know, what I realized is you probably can't get all of your creative outlet from client work. So I work with business owners, and you know, my job is not to like do what I want to do, it's to do what's best for their business. So a lot of the time, like, you know, I'm doing things that are a little more corporate, or they're someone else's vision or dream. So I have my own ideas, you know, I'm sketching things out, I'm writing down notes, and, you know, a lot of projects come out of that. So for me, it's like, it's my outlet. It's my area to be creative and not be limited by, you know, what someone else. Yeah, I don't have to get permission, for example, for that type of day project. I can just, you know, make it how I want to make it and put it out. And then also one of the biggest benefits beyond that is the skills. Like, because of that project, I was able to really learn a lot of skills, like typography, obviously, but also illustration. You know, I'm using Illustrator, and that led to, you know, the 3D animation and things like that. So just following my interest. So I have an unlimited amount of projects. It's just about how much I can work into my schedule. So yeah, I just try to do something every day for myself, even if it's only half an hour. But that way it doesn't like start to collect dust.
Yeah, that's a great point, like making sure to do stuff for yourself, because I've definitely been in that spot where, you know, I'm so bogged down by client work and stuff, and I don't feel like I have time to do my own personal things. And that's when I start feeling unfulfilled, and I start, you know, feeling upset about the direction that I'm going in when I'm not like really working on my own personal art. And I really liked how you talked about, you know, building authentic relationships as opposed to networking to try and get something from it. You know, I mean, it's sometimes hard to not come across like that when you are trying to get work and you are trying to expose yourself in the community. But I think, you know, everything that has, you know, helped me in my career as far as my connections have been when I've really created a genuine connection with someone, and you know, we just like each other, and then that leads to opportunities in the future, you know. So I really like that. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you all so much. That was such an amazing panel. I did record it, so it is going to be available. I'll put it up, the recording, like I'll put it up into the Facebook group. And also I will put my email right here. And if you're interested in, if you want me to send you the recording, I'll put it up on YouTube too, on Be Now Media's channel. But I'm gonna drop my email in the chat right here. So if you want me to just send it to you, if you're interested, just shoot me an email. I'll certainly do that for you. And thank you to all the speakers. It was so amazing. Thank you to everybody who showed up to listen and to ask questions and everything. Everyone that's here right now made this possible and made this a great experience. You know, and it was so awesome. And I really appreciate all of you. So thank you all so much. My name is Max. You know, I'm the founder of Be Now Media, but I'm also a teacher of self-management for working artists at Washtenaw. And we are promoting the arts management program at WCC. So check that out at the top of the chat as well. But besides that, you know, have a great day. Any of my classmates or people in my class, if you have any questions, like shoot me an email or something like that and I will respond. Okay. But besides that, amazing. Thank you guys so much. And we're going to be back on Wednesday with the music industry panel. And that's going to be awesome too. So come join us for that. All right. See you guys. Unless if anyone has any questions for me, you can ask too.
I was wondering about the homework,
Yeah.
about which weeks are due.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll look through the grade book and see what's up, and I'll shoot you an email. Will you drop your email in the chat?
Yeah, I emailed you, I think on
Oh yeah, you
I
already
think
emailed me.
Saturday or Sunday. So
Yeah, I'll respond to that for sure.
okay. Do you still want me to send you my email, or is that
Oh, it's
fine?
okay. I'll find it.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
all-
thank you.
Thank you so much. See ya.
Bye.
Any other questions or anything? All right. Thank you guys. See you.